We are often raised on the notion that a destined individual is a mythical character, a hero marked by fate, radiating confidence and marching toward a grand objective. However, reality presents a stark contrast. Those genuinely selected for a higher path seldom perceive themselves as such. They navigate existence with a quiet suspicion that something is misaligned, as though the world communicates in a dialect they were never taught. Perhaps this is why you are listening. A fragment of your consciousness has always suspected you are inhabiting a life that does not strictly adhere to the shape of your soul. The concept of being chosen is not about superiority. That is the ego's fantasy. Rather, it is about sensitivity, awareness, and a specific internal frequency that most spend their lifetimes avoiding. Reflect on this. Most traverse their days in a semi-conscious state, obedient to the noise, the crowd, and the next diversion. A chosen individual, however, cannot endure this not comfortably nor for long. There exists a resonance within them, at times a murmur, at others a cry, insisting that something deeper is summoning them. If you have ever experienced that lingering sense that you were intended for a purpose you cannot yet articulate, consider that the primary signal. It is found not in certainty, but in the question, not in the answer, but in the unrest. The chosen are not those who possess knowledge, but those incapable of ignoring the wisdom attempting to grow within them. It is a peculiar phenomenon. When people discuss the chosen one, they envision someone born under a fortunate star, gifted and favored. Yet, the universe possesses a far more ironic sense of humor. Upon closer inspection, you will discover that those who achieve true awakening rarely begin in ease. Their early histories are often defined by adversity, not necessarily the theatrical tragedy of legends, but the quiet wounds that shape the internal landscape. Instability, misunderstanding, and emotional turbulence emerging before one has the language to name it. This hardship is not a curse. It is an initiation. When a child perceives the external world as volatile, they retreat inward, exploring the only domain where they possess agency, the vast terrain of their own mind. In that solitude, depth takes root, a capacity for introspection that most never develop simply because necessity never demanded it. This explains why many chosen individuals mature into introverts. It is not by nature, but by necessity. The inner realm becomes their sanctuary and teacher. Psychologists might say early adversity sharpens perception. Spiritual teachers might say it opens the soul. I posit that it teaches you to listen. For when the world is chaotic, only those who withdraw inward learn to discern the quiet truths buried beneath the noise. Those who look outward dream. Those who look inward awaken. Perhaps therein lies the secret. As inner vision clears, the world appears slightly distorted. The chosen individual starts to observe that reality is not operating as it should. Everything appears inverted. They witness existences constructed on illusions. People trading vitality for reputation. Relationships reduced to ego games. Children taught to memorize rather than marvel. Entire cultures run on distractions that dull the senses. Yet, the collective accepts this inverted reality as normal. People pursue currency as though it were life itself, believing it will grant security or importance, while forgetting to live, forgetting that the capacity to be alive is the supreme treasure they already hold. Most fail to grasp that witnessing the dawn, feeling the breeze, or hearing a friend's laughter are profound gifts. These are the miraculous occurrences life offers, yet most pass them without recognition. They accept them as given, blind to the miracle in each moment. Life offers itself endlessly, yet most remain dormant, seeking meaning in shadows while ignoring the light. They exhaust their years trying to impress others, failing to realize that this very pursuit renders their lives agitated and hollow. The majority pursue validation and call it love. They chase careers and call it purpose. They chase status and power, thinking these will yield contentment, only to wonder why fulfillment eludes them. They spend years acquiring objects only to discover that possessions contain no meaning. They hold only more desire. The chosen one observes how people adhere to routines that dull the mind, preferring distraction over insight and comfort over growth. They witness a society that venerates busyness and penalizes curiosity. They see how institutions reward conformity and suppress originality. Then, they arrive at a startling realization. Nearly everything people are taught to pursue wealth, success, prestige is merely a veil over the simplicity of existence. Life is already complete, if only one were awake to perceive it. The chosen one feels this sharply. Life is simple, yet humanity complicates it. The miracle of breathing, seeing, and feeling is ignored in favor of noise and approval. Money cannot buy it. Fame cannot create it. Suddenly, the chosen realizes that life itself is the only true wealth, and almost no one notices. This brings the initial discomfort. Witnessing the absurdity, feeling the dissonance between what the world extols and what the soul knows is true. It is unsettling, yet clarifying, because the chosen one can no longer ignore it. They begin to perceive life through the lens of truth itself. As clarity grows, they notice something disturbing. They see how individuals treat relationships as transactions, offering affection for approval and friendship for utility. People pursue phantoms and call them meaning. They defend convictions they have never questioned and obey rules they cannot justify, all while calling it life. How often do people pursue paths because society mandates it? They notice the violence of conformity. Children compelled to memorize rather than wonder. Cultures demanding obedience while calling it morality. People worship productivity, yet they are exhausted. They seek happiness, yet cannot endure their own thoughts. The chosen realizes the paradox. The very things everyone pursues are the obstacles obscuring life. People sprint toward distractions, missing the simple joy of being. Life is a dance, yet most have forgotten how to move, trying to control the rhythm rather than flowing with it. This is the sharp awakening. Recognizing that life is already whole, yet almost everyone misses it. The chosen one feels this tension constantly, the pull of the artificial against the clarity of what is. Here, perception becomes both burden and gift. The chosen one is not here to change the world dramatically, but to remember what it has forgotten, to remember stillness in a world of noise, to remember truth in a world of performance. Their presence becomes a silent correction, simply by existing in alignment with reality. They sense the patterns in existence. The world insists on separation self versus other, while reality whispers the opposite. Separation is an illusion. The universe has no boundaries, yet everyone acts as if it does. They perceive the futility of human striving. People chase meaning as if it exists externally, blind to the fact that the infinite is already here. The chosen one understands that the simple act of being is sacred. Each breath is a universe complete unto itself. Yet most live as if it were trivial, clinging to titles as proof of value. They see the divine not as a distant figure, but as the luminous totality of existence. This is the edge of awakening, to see the world as a dynamic, interconnected whole, while watching others stumble in illusion. In this tension, the chosen one discerns the truth. The point is not to fix the world, but to wake up to it, to perceive clearly, act without illusion, and live in alignment with reality, to witness the oneness underlying everything and realize that nothing external can add to what is already complete. This realization carries gravity. It cannot be unlearned. This clarity brings a form of loneliness. Once you see the truth, you act differently, and people notice. You stand apart, not by choice, but by evolution. Here, the chosen one discovers a rare truth. Life does not demand participation in illusion to be meaningful. Being awake is sufficient. Solitude becomes a laboratory of consciousness, a space to refine perception and align with the deep currents of reality. In this solitude, they learn the final lesson. The world may remain asleep, but they are awake, and that is enough. Once the chosen one sees the world truly, a quiet shift occurs. They no longer participate in the performance of daily existence, not out of disdain, but because conventional connections have lost meaning. Life is too vivid to be wasted on approval or habit. They notice the constant effort around them to impress and validate. Conversations are rarely about truth. They are about shared delusions. Having awakened to the value of simply being, they step back. This distance is not rejection, but a consequence of clarity. Solitude is space to witness life without distortion, to feel the rain, to notice kindness without needing it to matter. In this quiet, they discover that much of human connection is transactional. They used to participate, but no longer do. They withdraw because the mind no longer clings to illusions. Solitude becomes a mirror revealing the self, free from the need for approval. It is here that the chosen one stands rooted in the reality of being alive, seeing what others cannot, understanding that authenticity is more precious than pretense. And so they walk forward, deeply rooted in the truth most never touch. They do not need to be understood to be real. They walk with the divine in the quiet, with clarity in their eyes and freedom in their hearts. For the chosen one has stopped seeking, and in doing so, has found everything.